Hey guys, back with another daily update video. It is Monday, June 8th. The market just closed. It's 4:24 p.m. and just an odd day in the market because it was a lot of green in the market if we take a look at the sector map, but it doesn't really tell you the whole story because overall it looks like it was a good day in the market because there was a lot of green on the board. But for the vast majority of the day, a lot of the quote-unquote regular stocks were up and in the green, but tech was down all day today. I mean, we ended up in the green for most of the tech stocks, but that was basically just power hour. And as you can see, it wasn't green by much. It's up by less than 1%. I mean, Google, Facebook, Apple, Microsoft, the big stocks were just barely green. They were pretty much red all day. And of course, AMD was pretty much sideways, a little bit down, but it actually rallied. It was down more all day long and then rallied towards the end of the day. Nvidia, Intel, all down. Micron pretty much traded sideways as well. So just interesting day for tech stocks. And if we just look at QQQ, the NASDAQ 100 ETF, you can see that it was in the red in the morning and pretty much for half the day. It didn't really come back to baseline until about 1 p.m. And then it started rallying back up. So that's why a lot of the tech stocks closed just a little bit in the green. But it was just an odd day in the market. I'm not sure why, unless it's just because of rotation that people are selling off their tech stock shares because they made profit on them, and now they're putting that money into other sectors like financials or other industries that were hit by the pandemic and now are also going to come back up. I suspect that's what's happening because tech has pretty much been carrying the market, especially during the pandemic. So it makes me rethink my my AMD and Micron plays. And so that's actually the two stocks that I made plays on today. And I was trying to make a play on Disney, but I'll show you. Disney just took off like a rocket again, and I just couldn't get in at a good price. This morning it opened up green, kind of traded sideways. It was red for a little bit of the day, but not very red. And then it just stayed green. And then as you can see, the last like 3 hours just really took off and closed the day up almost 2%. So yeah, it kind of stinks. I really wanted to make a play on Disney, but the price is just getting up there. And I think if we have another red day, I'll make a play on Disney. But we'll have to see what happens with the coming week. And then the other stock I was actually going to take an eye at if Disney wasn't, having a good setup for me, was going to be IWM. And that also, I mean, look at it. It opened up 1.5% and then just traded sideways all day. So this was also really high. I mean, look at it, it's at 152. And for me to sell a put at, let's say, 0.4%, I would have to get in at like the mid to low 140s. So I'd have to tie up a lot of capital. And same thing with Disney. I was hoping to get into Disney, if you saw my post from this past weekend, around the like low 120s or maybe even 118, 119 prices. And because of today, to lock in a 0.4% return on my risk, I would have to get in at like 120, 121 at least. So both of those stocks would have tied up a lot of my capital. So I wanted to make sure that I got a good fill and got in at a good price and collected a good amount of premium. But today, like I said, I just couldn't get good setups on either stock. So I held off. And what I ended up doing was I made a play on my tried and true stock AMD. And so I still own my 200 shares of AMD because AMD, opened in the green. I thought we were going to have a good day. Is, within the market opening at 9:30 to 9:50 in 20 minutes, it went from 53.33 to 52.41. So it dropped almost $1 in 20 minutes. And then it pretty much traded sideways all day. It rallied very slowly towards the end of the day, but again, not as much as I would have liked. So I didn't sell off my shares of AMD. And the one good thing about AMD is because it traded in the red, I said this is a good time to get into a put. So I opened up another cash secured put on AMD at the $50 strike price. And that was actually a pretty good play in retrospect because if you look at it right now, the premium is $21. I was actually able to get in at $27. Not first thing when the market opened, but around noontime. So already you can think of it as I already made $6 on it because the premium has already dropped $6 by the end of today. So I'm pretty happy with that. I mean, in general, you want to buy puts when stocks are in the red, right? Because you can collect more premium and then also lock in a lower strike price. So I wanted to take advantage of that. You know, I'm trying to get away from playing the same stocks over and over to diversify. But like I said, Disney and IWM just didn't have the setups for me. And I don't want to force trades. I want to, you know, flow with the market. So whatever the market gives me, I want to take advantage of it and then capitalize on it. So, you know, just because IWM or Disney didn't have a good setup for me today doesn't mean tomorrow or maybe next week, you know, might have a better opportunity. So I don't like forcing trades. A lot of it, you know, if people ask me questions about like, why did you make this trade or why didn't you? One, the first thing I always do is I look for the setup, but then I also kind of rely on my gut feel, because if it just doesn't feel right, then I'm not going to force it. And if I have to say to myself, like, what are you doing? Then just don't make the trade. Look for another play. You know, there's millions of other stocks out there with millions of other options plays you can make on them. So you don't have to pigeonhole yourself just because you have it in your mind that, oh, you know, this week I'm going to make a play on Disney. That's not always the great mentality. I mean, you can have it on your watch list, but you don't have to force yourself just because you said you wanted to make a play on Disney. So, you know, there's always another week. So I made a play on AMD by selling a put at the $50 strike, and I collected $27 in premium. And I still own my 200 shares of AMD. So what I was looking at doing today also was selling covered calls on my 200 shares. And I was looking at like the $55 strike price. So if I went to sell a call at $55, I would have collected roughly all day. The premium was around like low 40s, high 30s. And then during the end of the day, when AMD started rallying, it went up to like the high 40s. And I really wanted to lock in a price of $50 a contract, but I just wasn't able to get filled. So I was being a little bit greedy there. I could have probably gotten filled at 48, 49, but I really wanted the 50 because I could collect a, you know, an even 100 by selling 2 covered calls. But that's fine. You know, if AMD opens up in the green tomorrow morning, I'll sell those 2 covered calls and I'll probably make the same amount of premium or maybe even more. So again, I didn't want to force a trade. I kind of had a benchmark in my mind of how much premium I wanted, and I didn't want to just make a trade just to make a trade, because like I said, there's always tomorrow morning. So also in retrospect, you can't have the same stock be a good play for a call and a good play for a put at the same time, because AMD was in the red, meaning it was down. So that's a good time to sell a put because the put premiums will be high. If AMD was in the green, then it's a good time to sell calls because the call premiums are going to be high. So what I was trying to do was essentially make a strangle on AMD by having a put and covered calls on it at the same time. And I will do that at some point this week. Like I said, I just wanted to lock in a good premium. So let's say tomorrow morning I'm able to get 50 cents per share filled. Then by selling 2 of these contracts, I should collect $100 in premium from 2 covered calls at 55, plus my $27 in premium that I collected today on my put. So that's $127 already in theory that I can collect tomorrow if AMD trades sideways or opens up very similar tomorrow morning to how it did. So let's just see. My cost basis is $52.95 for my 200 shares of AMD. So I have $10,590 tied up in AMD stock right now. And then I just sold a put at $50. So that's another $5,000 in collateral I sort of have tied up in AMD. So right now I have $15,590 in AMD. So if I'm able to sell or collect premiums of $127 divided by $15,590, that would be a return on my risk for this week of 0.81%, which is fantastic. So that's what I'm going to try to do. I was initially hoping that AMD was going to open up in the green today and stay green because I wanted to sell the $56 strike just so I can collect more stock appreciation and even though it's a little bit less premium if I get my shares called away. But I think even 55 is good because I own the stock at roughly 53. So if AMD goes above 55 by Friday, I'll collect $2 per share in stock appreciation times 200 shares. So $400 in stock appreciation in addition to the $127 in premium I collected. So that would be a fantastic return for this week for me. So I also, I mean, if I really wanted to get out of the stock, I could sell the 53 or maybe even the 54 strikes, but I want to collect some decent premium. And I think AMD is due for a breakout because a lot of the other semiconductor stocks have popped, a lot of the tech stocks have popped, but for some reason AMD's just been straggling behind. So I don't know, maybe they're trying to shake out the weak investors before it pops. So I'm going to hold off on AMD. I'm going to, you know, if it pops to 55, I'm happy with that. But I'll be okay if my shares get called away, just because I don't know what the market is doing right now. Like, are we really going to top out and then set new all-time highs right now in the midst of what's going on in the world? But we'll see. You know, like I said, I'm trying not to be too greedy, but I know I am being a little bit greedy. That's okay, because at the end of the day, if I end up holding AMD stock, I'm okay with it. And then the other play that I made today was Micron. So Micron also opened up in the green, and then within the first 20 minutes, just like AMD, it went from 54.54 to 53.10. So it just dropped, you know, almost $1 or over $1 in 20 minutes, and then it traded sideways in the red, just like AMD. And then in the last hour, see 3:15 before, it started rallying and almost broke even compared to where it closed Friday. But same scenario, because Micron was in the red, it was a good opportunity for me to sell a put on Micron. And this is my first ever trade on Micron, so I'm kind of excited about that. We'll see how it plays out. But I also think I got a good deal on it because I sold a put on Micron at the $49.50 strike price, and I collected $27 in premium. So as you can see already, this I also sold in the morning. Actually, I sold this play before my AMD play, and you can see that I've already made $11 because the premium has already dropped to $16 by the end of today. So I'm already in the green, knock on wood, on both of my AMD and Micron plays just from time decay. And so this is going to be interesting because, you know, I have a high chance of probability, or high probability of profit at 90%, but I collected good premium. So just do the math. It was $27 in premium divided by $49.50 in collateral. So that was a 0.5 or a little bit over 0.5 return on my risk on this put. And just to recap my AMD play, I collected $36 in premium or $5,000 in collateral. So that was fantastic. That was a 0.72% return on my risk. And I think AMD is going to have a hard time dropping to 50, because if you look at the Fibonacci levels, the 61.8% Fibonacci level is at $50.88. So for it to get to 50, it would have to get to this level here. And in the recent past, both times that it's touched 50, it's bounced immediately right back up. So this was back on May 27th. This was back on May 1st. And you can see the moment it drops to 50, it doesn't like it. It comes right back up. Same thing here. The last time it kind of was below 50 was in mid-April. So I'm hoping, and I'm pretty confident, that my AMD put is going to be secure. And if we take a look at Micron, you know, similar scenario. Micron is up here in this Fibonacci level. I mean, it's sky high right now. It's between the 78.6 and the 100% Fibonacci levels. For it to get to 49.50 where my put is, it would have to break below this Fibonacci level. So I think I'm pretty secure for this week that it's gonna stay above my put. I thought about selling the $50 put because that's at the Fibonacci level, but because this was my first trade on Micron, I wanted to play it a little bit extra safe. So I went 50 cents lower. And that's one of the nice things about Micron is that it has 50-cent strikes. So you have a lot more options in terms of which position you want to play. So those are my two plays that I've made today. And until I sell off my AMD shares, I don't have any more collateral or enough collateral to actually make other plays on this week. But I'm pretty happy with this. Like I said, what I'm going to look to do this following days is sell my covered calls on AMD, because I want to put those calls to use, and then if need be, just get those shares called away so I can be all cash again going into next week. But yeah, next week I'll try again to see if I can get a good position on Disney or maybe IWM again. And I know I'm not very diversified because both of my stocks right now are tech stocks, and not only are they tech stocks, but they're both in the semiconductor sector. I would like at some point to get into some of the big names, but I just don't have enough capital for it right now, like Microsoft or Apple or Facebook or Google or Amazon. Definitely I don't have enough capital for that right now. But if I do make a play on these, it would tie up so much of my money that I wouldn't be able to really make a play on any of their stocks. So that's why I keep trying to play like AMD and Micron, because for me and my portfolio size, the $40, $50 strike prices are kind of like the sweet spot for me because I can make multiple plays on them. I've tried looking for other cheaper stocks like in the $20 or $30 range using my Finviz screener technique, and I just can't find any good companies that are about $30 or $40 or less than $40 or maybe even $20 that I would feel comfortable holding long term if I needed. If you have any suggestions in the comments below, please let me know. I don't want to go for like penny stocks. I don't want to go for, you know, no-name companies that are like $5 or $10 or $15 because that's what usually happens. So if you have some like long-term, reliable blue chip companies that right now are trading in the $20, $30 range, please let me know. I would be very curious to start making plays on them if I like those companies. So just as a quick aside, I just wanted to show you a new section of this bar chart website. So this is bar chart, barchart.com, that I found just to see what the popular options are for that day. So if you go to www.barchart.com and you click on options here, you can go to option volume leaders. And then what this will do is this will show you a list of all the popular stocks, or options I should say, that were traded today. So this is just based on pure numbers. This doesn't mean that these are in general the most heavily traded options or stocks. These are just for today. So you can see that Bank of America was very heavily traded today, and you can actually sort by stocks or ETFs. So you can see that this $28.50 call on Bank of America at the $38 strike, what's the with 4-day TE, so these were weeklies that are going to expire this Friday, had a volume of 117,901. So for today, this option was the most heavily traded option for whatever reason. I don't know if good news came out or what, but looks like people were buying / selling this call, and you can see that it has a very high implied volatility at 66%. So the premium was probably good. The premium was around $28 per contract, but this was very popular. Hexo, I'm not familiar with this company. Microsoft was a very popular play today. Tesla, M is Macy's, Love is Southwest Airlines, there's AMD. So AMD, the $55 call was very popular today. So this, I believe, does not distinguish between buyers and sellers, meaning in total, there were a total of 39,109 trades that were made. And these are trades, this is volume. So these are trades that were completed, meaning somebody bought and somebody sold, whereas open interest is the total number of calls and puts at this option strike that are currently open and not closed. So this is what I was actually trying to do today, is the $55 call, but I was trying to be on the sell side, not on the buy side. But that's why I said that, see, the last price was $49. So if I had set a target of 49, I would have easily gotten filled because there's thousands of people that are looking to probably buy my call. So I was a little bit greedy because I was setting my premium at 50 cents as a limit order, but it just didn't get filled because I think there just wasn't enough time in the day. But like I said, I think if we open up sideways or a little bit in the green, maybe within the first few minutes of the market, I can probably get filled at 50 cents tomorrow. But that's why I like AMD so much as well, because it's very, very liquid. So a lot of these stocks right now, if you wanted to make plays on them, you should be able to get in and out of trades on them very easily just because there's so much volume and open interest on them. So some of these are cheap stocks like Ford and GE, right? Because they're going to be popular just because they're cheap, so people with smaller accounts can make trades on them. But you know, stocks like Tesla, this is actually pretty surprising that Tesla's right now at almost $950, and there were 47,000 or over 47,000 trades that were completed today on Tesla. At a strike, it looks like there were a lot of calls on Tesla at the $1,000 strike. So a lot of people, for whatever reason today, I'm not sure if news came out or what, but a lot of people are bullish on Tesla. and these are weeklies because these are going to expire this Friday. So that's kind of interesting. You know, for me to make a play on this, I would need $94,822 in my account, which I certainly don't have. You know, maybe in about 10 years or so, I can make one trade on Tesla. But I mean, I guess the other thing is if Tesla splits and then, you know, this valuation gets halved, or maybe even like a third, then I could start making plays on Tesla. But Tesla is so volatile. I mean, look at the implied volatility, 77%. It's just crazy volatility. So the premiums are actually really good, but it's a very big risk. But just taking a look at this, I mean, Space is on here. That's on my watch list. Microsoft is on my watch list, but again, it's a little bit on the pricier side. Apple's on my watch list. There's another AMD play. So looks like the $53 call on AMD was also pretty popular today. And this is a weekly as well, expiring this Friday. So that traded 20,000 times. That was another interesting call because that's pretty much at the money, because AMD is trading like at 53 or just a few cents under 53. So people were either buying or selling at the money calls on AMD that expired this Friday. So that's interesting. But yeah, I mean, here's Micron. So this is also another good way that if you're trying to find some liquid stocks. Now, like I said, this is just what was popular today. So, you know, you might have some like meme stocks or pharma companies that for whatever reason just got really popular and were really heavily traded today. This doesn't mean that they're always heavily traded. Like SRNE, I believe that's a pharma stock. And I think they've been in the news recently. So for whatever reason, they're Sorrento Therapeutics. So they're very heavily traded today. So I just wanted to show you this website in case you were interested, because I peek at this every now and then just out of curiosity to see what stocks people are playing and trying to figure out why, and just to see, you know, what the liquid options are for any given week or so. But let me know how your day went, what your plans are for this week. If you have any questions or comments, as always, leave them below, and happy trading.